Shit. How did this happen? It has to be a dream. Right? Yesterday was normal. How could it change so much in just one night? What could have happened for it to change? It's like this neighborhood isn't even the same one I was in yesterday. How can I know if today is even real? For anyone reading this, my name is Dan. I hesitated but eventually called out in a much more quiet voice than expected. Hello? Is anyone there? Or awake? My voice was shaky beyond belief. My room is on the second story of our house, so I may be safer. Depending on the situation. There was dirt on my window. Not to mention the countless vines and what seemed to be tree roots everywhere. I figured that I should call out again, or maybe peek outside into the hallway. I decided that it'd probably be safer to peek into the hallway. I stopped myself from yelling. The hallway was covered in little roots and dirt. Hell, there may have even been mushrooms or other plants growing, and maybe even things other than me roaming around. Though I didn't hear much. Nor see any movement for that matter, well, except some flies and other small things. I opened the door more. The hallway was dim, but still light enough for me to see where I was going, and my surroundings. I slowly opened the door to my sister's room. She was still asleep. By now I noted the roots had gone all the way to the front of the house. And the closer I got to the back of the house, the bigger the roots were. The downstairs was even more of a mess. Could there even be anything not covered in roots? There were also vines downstairs. I forgot my phone in my room. I quietly sprinted back, almost tripping on one of the roots. I checked my phone to see that there was somehow still internet service. But that relief didn't stay for long. The emergency alert is what really shook me at this point. It reads: Emergency alert. Do not go out of the safety of your homes until further notice. And do not draw attention to yourself. The situation is currently being investigated. What the hell? I mumbled quickly, starting to get anxiety. Surely it couldn't be like this everywhere? I mean, like, it couldn't be like this all over the world, right? You could call this a doomsday scenario, except for the fact that it was the opposite of a wasteland everyone you went to. Though, everything did seem to be void of human life, but that was because everyone was staying inside, at least I hope so. Only about a minute later, when I was debating on waking up my sibling and parents, I heard someone yell outside. Did they not get the emergency notice? Hello? Is anyone there? Hello? I was startled at first, but peeked out of my window. He was just standing there in his pajamas. The emergency alert specifically said not to draw attention to yourself. I decided I should try to make some human connection and call out to him, but that quickly changed. Help! Help! Please somebody help me! He was cut off by the sound of bones crunching, and a loud screech. What the fuck? A creature had fucking tackled him, running quicker than anything I've seen before. Tearing into him like jello. I wanted to puke and quickly ducked by the wall under the window. Any plans on going outside in the future would just be nonsense now. I peeked outside where the guy had been, but there was now just a long trail of blood and little bits of flesh and even some pieces of bone. I decided it was best to wake everyone up. God knows what would happen if something were to come in and they were still asleep. I was more cautious of my surroundings now, even though I was probably safe within my house. I woke up my sister. Who Dan. Shish. I can't explain anything right now, but you need to stay as quiet as possible and get dressed quickly. I knew she probably wouldn't listen to me right now or take me as seriously. But she would probably be fine. We need to wake everyone else up. Be careful. She was starting to open her eyes. She was probably going to be in shock like me when I first woke up. Okay, just get out so I can I placed a hand over her mouth so she didn't yell. Quiet. I know the room is a mess and there are roots and vines everywhere, but you need to stay quiet. There are creatures outside. And before you dismiss this as a foul prank, it isn't. I showed her the emergency alert on my phone. She just ushered me out of her room. I suppose she was probably going to get dressed. Which reminded me, I'm still in my pajamas. I got dressed and woke up Mom and Dad. Mom, Dad? No response. I'll try another time. Hello, Mom, Dad, wake up. They started to wake up now. Don? Oh, what is it? Mom replied. There's no time to explain right now, you have to believe me. You need to be quiet or else those creatures might hear you. Also you should probably wake up Dad and relay the message. She slowly opened her eyes, still extremely tired. Though she didn't understand what I meant at the time. Don? What do you mean? She said puzzled. I can explain it when everyone is awake. I'm going to see how Rachel is doing. Along with Zach, but if you want to know a little more you should check your phone. As soon as I stepped out of their room and closed the door I saw Rachel and Zach waiting at the end of the hall. Great, you're awake. They looked around a bit shook. Don, what the hell is going on? Rachel said urgently. I'll explain when Mom and Dad are awake. I'd rather tell them the horrors of the current situation with our parents there so it's less scary. Mom and Dad walked out a couple minutes later fully dressed, checking their phones. They seemed a little surprised and shook looking at what happened to the house and the emergency alert on their phone. I guess it's time to tell everyone the current situations now. Don, what do you mean? Dad asked seriously, probably because he thought this was just a cruel prank that would take a while to clean up. Before I explain, this isn't a prank. You've probably read the emergency alert on your phones. But you should check outside too. We all went into our parents' bedroom and looked out the window. It makes me nervous looking out the window after witnessing that horrific scene a little while ago. It makes me feel like everything outside is watching us. Okay, so, you know something we don't? Dad asked a bit shook after looking outside. Everyone was a bit more shook now. I don't know that much more than what you guys know now, but I do know that going outside isn't safe. Really, we already know that, Rachel was about to say, but I guessed someone would say that after I practically repeated what the alert on our phones said. I didn't come out quite the way I expected it to. No. I mean, it's really not safe. I don't think the other two kids should see this. So could you follow me, Mom and Dad? Sure. Dad replied. They followed me to my room, which was near the front of the house. I ushered them to the window, not daring to look outside again, afraid I might actually puke this time. Look at the side of the street. I said with my voice growing a bit shaky. They stood there shook, their faces turned pale witnessing the scene, but I don't want to describe it again while typing this out. Fucking terrifying. Anyways, that's what happened to the last, and probably only guy who would scream outside asking if anyone was there or not. They backed away from the window and looked at me. Could they be questioning how all of this has happened? Maybe they would ask me? How would I know? I used to stay up really late, but I stopped a couple months ago. Don, is that true? Mom asked, looking like she was being hit by multiple waves of anxiety at once. Yes. I really didn't want to think about what could happen now. I wanted to forget all of this. But this was reality now. But there is a small bright side to this. We still have the internet. But for how long? How long would it take for that to seemingly vanish too? I'm gonna call a friend or maybe play some games to relax a little. I had a friend that lived a couple houses away. A childhood friend, his name was Josh. Is he okay? He wakes up around the time I do, so it's likely he heard the scream and saw the scene too. I took my phone out of my pocket, it was fully charged. But then a new concern came up, would I be able to charge it again? I shouldn't think about that too much, I could always check later. I looked through my contacts list and called him. Beep beep beep, beep beep beep. Hello? Don. He picked up. Josh. You're okay. Thank God, I'd be having more anxiety right now if he didn't pick up. Who knows, I could have been dwelling on if those creatures actually check houses or not right now. We talked for some time, about an hour or two. During that time I checked if the power still worked, and to my surprise I was still able to charge my phone. We decided to stay in touch through a game we liked to play so we didn't waste any more battery. The day went on fairly normal, well except for the change in scenery. Everyone ate and did their own thing, except for the mood was horrid. Maybe everything will just blow over? Hey, who was I kidding? Myself? Probably, but with creatures like that roaming around, it's too unlikely. It's becoming night, I can just barely tell through all the leaves so high up. Hell, even the leaves themselves seemed a bit bigger, all life outside did.